Yes, a couple a lot of them come out of the Pauline epistles, Paul's letters to the different churches.
But you got to context. Context is king.
Understand the context. The slavery, we went there. Slavery is another example. So slavery is in the Bible, but you got to understand the context.
Yeah, it's not like the type of slavery we think of. It's not owning people.
Right.
It was more indentured servitude.
Right.
Like you owe this debt, and you can't pay the debt, so you're going to work for me until it's paid off, or until the year jubilee.
Yeah.
Which would be like every 7th year.
Yeah. So it's another example of don't take it out of context, or try to make sure you understand the broader context, because it can be very divisive.
Yes.
Yeah. So discipline, consistency, and reading the scriptures, man, is probably, I think it's one of the best things you can do in terms of self-development, if not the best. What's better than that?
There's nothing. Any self-help book that's worth its salt. And again, that goes back to biblical standards as well, because salt was so expensive. So that's where that comes from.
You are the salt of the earth.
Exactly. So any self-help book that's worth anything, the principles come from the Bible.
Yeah.
So why read a copy of a copy of a copy?
Right.
You know what I mean? When you can go to the real thing.
Yeah.
And I guess we should mention the Dead Sea Scrolls, since we're talking about.
Go ahead, man. I don't know as much about them, but
I don't know a whole lot about it. I know a little bit about a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's
I know
enough.
what I've seen. So
hey, that's one of them old school lines. I know a little bit about a little bit, but I know what I've seen.
That's it. But what I know, I'm confident in. How about that? So
I know what I know.
I got a book, the Dead Sea Scrolls, from the library last week. And Randy sent something that was really instrumental as far as understanding it. And also I watched a couple other videos. So essentially, these Dead Sea Scrolls, they outdate any other copy that we've had of the Bible. So like, let's say the oldest copy that we had of the Bible was from like the year 1000, you know what I'm saying? In a year 1000 AD, right? These Dead Sea Scrolls predate those. And so it allows us to see just how close our translations of the Bible is to the originals. Because some of these like intact, like some of the books of the Bible are intact, so they're able to read through the whole thing, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So essentially it's like, because some people think, this translation of the Bible came from this translation, which came from that translation. So you got all these different variations. But I want to say they all came from the Masoretic text.
Maybe.
So it's the Masoretic text, and then it's two other major ones.
Okay.
But the Dead Sea Scrolls validates that what we're reading today is very, very close to the original.
Okay.
So yeah, it's validation.
Yeah. It can be something you can go way into, man.
Yes. Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, it can be a rabbit hole for sure, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
I talk about my dad, but I remember him saying, I heard in a sermon one time, he said the Bible was the only self-help book you would ever need. He said when he went to the bookstores, he would go to the section for dummies. He said between that section and the Bible, he said the Bible would be the only self-help book that you would ever need. So I was like, well, let me check it out.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another, and here we are, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
You not just deciding to dive in, but once you start diving in, man, it's first off, it's rewarding to see these have these light bulb moments when these dots start getting connected. But also, man, you're not gonna feel the change right away.
Right.
You're definitely not gonna feel the change right away. But just like anything, when you're consistent with it over time, the change is inevitable and it's undeniable.
Yeah, it's like the ship, man.
If you're applying what you're
discipline, consistency, kind of the same things. It's like that ship, man. You turn the ship, turn it 1 degree, and it's hard to tell the difference day to day, but over time, you cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, that's right.
So discipline, consistency, man. Biblical examples, we really just gave the Bible as an example. So, as an example was something that you can be disciplined and consistent with.
Yeah.
But it applies to, like I said, physical health, spiritual health, mental health as well. So the reading, the just time away, separation, quiet time. I still get out here. I'm back in the early morning club most days.
Nice.
You got to text me early this morning.
I ain't there.
At one point, man, I was texting you like 5:30 in the morning.
Yes, you was. And I ain't say nothing about it.
So I'm not in that club anymore. But I'm trying to get back into it, man. But, in retrospect, man, I enjoy the quiet time, man. It's just time to think, man. And ultimately, I think that's become kind of a spiritual practice for me. But it's something that's, again, discipline. I got to get up early. I got to get up in front of everybody else and be consistent. So
it makes sense because that's the time of day nobody want nothing to do with daddy.
Yeah.
And if you do need daddy, it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the most predictable time of the day.
Yeah, and that's maybe one thing that's beneficial about it warming up. So in the winter times, it's hard to get, out here when it's 30 degrees. But if it's 60, 70, then I really do kind of enjoy that quiet time, man, from 5 to 6, right? It's sounds crazy, man, but I think that's been a big part of the mental health changes as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You want to go through the Bible verse that we
were talking about biblical examples, and we were looking for people, right? So we talk a lot about Joseph as a character example for discipline and consistency.
Yes.
But one that I have used pretty frequently, man, just as I'm out here working out and whatever I'm doing, man, just you're thinking about the need to live a disciplined life. But this one is 1 Corinthians 9. It's 9:27, but actually it probably makes sense to go back a little bit. So it's the need for self-discipline. Again, 1 Corinthians 9, starting at 24. So do you not know that in a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? So run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. Nice. So it's a pretty lengthy one.
Yeah.
But it's,
what version is that?
This is that's a good question. NIV.
NIV.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you have a go-to?
I go to NASB.
Really?
New American Standard. Okay. It's tricky because the reason I say it's tricky, depending on what Bible app you're in. Like I use, I don't even know the name of it, but it got a picture of the Bible with a cross on it.
Okay.
YouVersion. I think it's a YouVersion.
Okay.
So on the app, they have NASB 95 and they got NASB 2020. Mm-hmm. But if I'm on the website, they have just NASB. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if it's the 95 version on the app. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's very similar. So.
Got it. Yeah, I think we kind of touched on this with, I think, Randy's episodes in terms of what Bible, right? Maybe it's not as, it is important, but maybe it's not the deal breaker. So I kind of jumped to NIV. I use CSB quite a bit. Yeah. In school, we use the NRSV quite a bit. I've heard about the Message. So it's a lot of different translations out there.
You just got to pick up a Bible and see what jives with your language.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, there is a spectrum, so to speak.
Yeah. Some
of these are more word-for-word translations. Like, that's why I like the NASB. It's not the closest, but it's very close to being, it is word for word, but it's not like the most extreme version word for word. Mm-hmm. But then I think the Message is all the way to the opposite end where it's paraphrase. Yeah. So you got word for word, then you got thought for thought. Yeah. And then it's just, hey, this is a summary of what's happening. Yeah, that's right. So that's why I like the NASB.
Yeah. So biblical examples. Good. You got a cough? You need to get that?
Yeah,
you good? All right. Personal examples, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is a life of discipline and consistency look like for you?
So I'll go with spiritually. So I'm in a situation where I get to read the Bible about an hour a day, Monday through Friday. It's the best investment I've ever made. I mean, it's just changed everything. No, I mean, it changes. Profound, it changes everything.
That's profound
because it changes you. So now it's almost like that person that goes to the doctor or whatever, and he tells the doctor, "Hey, man, everything I touch hurts. This hurt, that hurt." It's like, "Hey, yeah, you got a broken face." You see what I'm saying?
I got it.
Yeah. So
that's pretty funny, man. I've never heard that.
Yeah, dude.
He's like, that hurt.
Yeah. So by changing yourself, it changes your relationships. It changes your mindset. It changes how you handle money.
Yeah.
It changes how you face tough times.
Why the Bible, man? There's a lot. You could be on social media for an hour.
Truth.
Okay.
Truth versus opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Or truth versus fact. Because sometimes people are throwing facts out there, but facts change over time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some facts change over time.
So what's true versus what's true.
Yeah. It's like absolute truth. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. I think I touched on some of mine, but just learning to get off the things that are bad for me. So I had all the physical. I was lifting. I was working it out. But then I was putting it back on in my personal choices. And so I really had to rethink. So we talk about renewing the mind. I had to really rethink some things. And I talk about my family. They had a big part of it as well. But I just said, life can't be designed to have to be on the bad stuff. So I'm like, it's got to be better not needing these crutches. And so I started to say, how am I getting in my own way? And so slowly but surely, man, I just kind of went down this path of internal self-exploration. But it took a long time, and I think it's learning about saying no, pushing away from the table, small choices, small changes, understanding how things become compounding. And then
you just said a lot.
All right, you want
said a lot, man.
Let me pause.
Yeah, because like small changes, people want big and immediate.
No.
But when you consistently and also consistency, all right, are you already doing what you know you're supposed to be doing? Because you talked about letting go of some things.
Yeah.
I mean, are they things you already kind of knew, like, man, I shouldn't be doing this? Or it took some research, like, man, that's probably not as beneficial as I thought it was.
I think it was both for me. I think there's some things I'm like, this can't be healthy. I'm 300 pounds. People ask me who I played for. I'm like, I ain't.
Let me get that autograph. You gotta be an all-pro D lineman or something.
So some parts I'm like, this can't be healthy. But part of me was like, I've always, I'm just a big guy, and that's just kind of. So part of it was me just kind of convincing myself I was okay. We talked about this book, The Obesity Code. So just learning about. As I said, I was working out, man. I was in the gym. So I had the size, but I was just really big. But I wasn't lazy. So to me, I think it was just making those adjustments and learning about insulin in the body and all the science, I think. But it really got to a point I had tried all these other things, and I'm like, it's not working.
Dude, you just said. So, the parable in the Bible, the wise builder and the foolish builder. Like, so, because you're talking about it's not, I mean, you worked hard.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we all just got to discover working hard isn't the key.
Yeah.
Because, so if you're not familiar with the parable, it's just a story that Jesus used to kind of illustrate the kingdom.
Yeah.
He talked about a wise man, a wise builder. And he said, the person who takes these words that I'm saying and follows them is like a wise builder. He builds his house upon the stone, upon the rock. So essentially, you're talking about digging a foundation, not just putting it on the ground, but digging until you hit hard ground, and you're putting it on that foundation, right?
Yeah.
And then he says, the foolish man, or those who hear my words and don't do it, are like the foolish builder who builds his house upon the sand. He didn't dig a deep foundation.
Yeah.
And the storm came, the flood rose, and
blew against it.
And the collapse was great.
Yeah, great.
And so both of them labored.
Yeah, man.
Both of them, building the house ain't easy.
No.
Both of them worked hard, but one of them decided to future-proof his future.
Yeah. That's a perfect analogy, man. So, and it wasn't easy, man. You out there building, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not working. And I'm glad I kind of came to that realization. So I'm still working out, I'm still lifting, I'm still exercising. But I learned about self-discipline, and I went down this path of YouTube videos, and what does it really mean to live a disciplined life? And it is saying no to things, it's pushing away, it's I catch y'all next week, and but it's so that it does end up being compounding and it pays dividends. Like I'm going to the Y with my 14-year-old now, right?
I think that's really cool, man.
Yeah, man. So she's in the 9th grade. And, she's probably going to have some separation anxiety when the oldest goes to college. So I'm like, what can I do to kind of swoop in? And my wife's doing the same thing. But 300 pounds, man, that's hard to do. That's
Yes.
I got a birthday coming up, man. 45. I'll be 45
Woo!
in May.
That's a whole lot of candles.
I know. Yeah,
That's a five. That's a five.
That's a five. So I made this decision, man. It comes down, I think we talk about decisions and choices. So I made some pretty solid decisions that simplified the choices. Mm-hmm. So now my day is really simple, but it's discipline, consistency. But I have a good time at the Y. I'm making a fool out of myself playing racquetball. Knowing I got a bad shoulder.
Oh man, you need to play left-handed, man.
I was thinking about switching up and going lefty on the